Hey, my name is Shania,
Hey, my name is Jaden.
and welcome to the Ivory Tower, where our motto is for the culture by the credits.
On this show, we talk about our thoughts on the current condition of academia, college life, and other stuff.
And we do it all from a minority perspective and voices we don't often get to hear from.
Let's get to it. How have you been? I
I've
mean,
been good.
like,
Yeah,
been
it's
good.
just been, all of the orientation and getting ready for going this fall has been, oh, well, I guess since we'll be releasing this in the fall. Okay, okay. But yes, no, it's just been getting used to the school, figuring out where my classes are, and things of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah. Shania, where are you going?
Oh yeah, I will be attending Yale this fall. And then are we going over our majors or?
I mean, yeah, we can. Shoot. What are you majoring in? Miss
Okay, so
President?
my
Future
major is
President? Eh.
I'm double majoring in global politics and linguistics, and I'm minoring in French. So the reason I'm doing that is because oh no, I said wait, cut that out. The reason I'm doing that
Is fine.
no, is not. Okay. But the reason I'm going into that field is because I eventually want to become an international lawyer. So, taking the time to really study our political climate, especially on a global scale, has always been something that's been really important to me because my personal mantra is representing the underrepresented. And that's kind of something that I've actively worked towards throughout my entire high school and some middle school careers. And then on terms of the linguistic side of things, I love French. I love to learn different languages. The next language I want to learn is Mandarin, but I think it's especially interesting how these languages developed, especially across time. So yeah, Jaden, what about
Dang.
you?
It's going to make me sound pathetic, but that's all right.
No,
So.
no.
I'm going to MIT this fall. I'm planning to major in chemical engineering, but I plan to study battery dynamics and the processes of energy systems, things of that nature. As to why I'm doing it, I mean, like Shania, I also want to increase representation in academia. Black Americans are vastly underrepresented in STEM and higher fields of academia in general. So I want to be a part of the initiatives to help block that. I plan to minor in English as well because I do love to write poetry, stories, things like that. But yeah, so
Why
so
MIT? Why are you going to Massachusetts Institute of Technology? Why that school specifically?
it is ranked number one in chemical engineering. So I do like that. I love engineering. I love the concept of it. But also, there's like so many opportunities there. The connections that MIT alumni have are crazy. Like they just email me weekly. Oh, alumni if you're hiring. Alumni if you're hiring. So yeah, it's a bit crazy. Have you done any like preparation exams they make you take aside from like
Yes, I had to
university?
do the high school math and science survey. So I just say like what math courses I took, what science courses I took. I guess kind of like a placement thing. The actual
Oh,
placement exams for us don't open until, or I guess didn't open until July. And so for that, I'll be taking the French placement exam because I'm minoring in French, it's kind of useless for me to be taking the introductory course my first year,
makes
especially
sense.
considering I've been learning French since I was 5 years old. So I definitely want to take that placement exam to kind of see, okay, where do I land? Where can I start from that's not like French 101? So
Right.
that's really been the only exam I'm really looking to take. They have one on physics. I don't plan on taking physics. I absolutely despise that class in high school. So, yeah, I've never been so academically humbled by a class. Like that one, it just didn't click.
I agree. I went straight to I did the, physics C without doing the physics
Oof.
1 or anything. It was so
Mm.
good. I was humbled so greatly. So I do identify with that.
So I loved environmental science. I took environmental science my senior year of high school, and I adored that class. Like that was really cool to me because I learned that we had a lot of math in that class, but the math had to do with, like you said, immigration versus like emigration rates in the different countries.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't know you did that.
how do populations shift over time? How do you see graphs of what kind of population? Is this a type 1 population or is this a type 3
Hmm.
population? Like those kinds of things I thought were really cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Do you have any classes you're not looking forward to taking?
Physics aside, okay, physics aside. Physics aside, I was like, I don't like that kind. Actually, first year, I'm not taking a lot of major specific classes. Like it's
Yeah.
mainly gen eds, or they call them GIRs, like General
I was
Institute
gonna ask,
Requirements.
does MIT have gen eds? Like, do you guys have like, oh, you have to take like one of these?
Yeah,
Or do you have- Really?
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't have gen eds. We have something called because like my school is liberal arts, so they want to be different. And the way that
Fair.
we do it, not no no tea, no shade to you. I love my school. But we have please don't
Mm.
take away my shade.
It's like,
No, actually, but one of the reasons I fell in love with the school though is because they have something called distributionals, which is kind of like requisites you have to meet. Like you have to have a quantitative reasoning class, or like you have to take a math class, you
okay.
have to take a writing class. But there's no specific like all freshmen take this class. It's more so just you have to meet these requirements by the time you graduate. For example, there's a class on like aesthetics on food photography or something. We have a class on happiness, like, and it's just like as long as it falls into a
Oh,
category,
happiness.
you can take it. Like, it doesn't matter. But then again, like, we don't declare our major until spring. I'm pretty sure spring of your freshman year or your second year if you want to wait a little longer.
Yeah, I mean MIT is somewhat similar. Like they don't let you declare your major until the end of your first year. Like
Yeah.
can't even do it
How do you
before.
feel about that? What do you think about that? Like, not being allowed to declare until.
I think it's. I mean, I know. Like I'm not gonna obviously change my major. I think chemical engineering's fit for me, but I think it's good. I don't think it's something that is negative. At least I think it's good that they give people time to kind of consider all
Mhm.
their options first or explore. Because the first year at MIT, they don't do grades. We don't get grades. We have it's
Wait,
called pass no
what?
record.
Wait, what?
I know, like it's it's PNR. It's pass no record. So what
Oh,
they,
okay.
yeah, what they do is if I fail a class the first year, which I won't, but if I do, right,
Yeah.
like it won't even show up that I took the class. So there are no grades. Like it doesn't show like, oh, not applicable or anything. It's I've never
What?
took it. It's gone. So they want to bring everyone on the same playing field. They give you
Mhm.
time to just go find undergraduate research opportunities or like maybe go join a startup or something like that. So I plan to be like really involved with like the student body during that time. So I think
Yeah.
it's cool. They don't, they're not trying to put like a label on you so quickly. But yeah, what about you? You think it's a good idea or?
I think that I think it is a good idea in the sense that students need time to figure themselves out, especially the transition from high school to college is a very interesting one. It almost reminds me of the transition between like middle school and high school. Like you're starting to figure yourself out on a brand new level, especially going to college where you're no longer in your parents' house. You're no longer have this like extremely structured like, oh, I need to be in class by 8 10 a.m. and I get out at 2:55.
I
Like
feel
it's not
that.
it's no more of that. And I think students need time to kind of figure out, okay, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? You know what I'm saying? On the other side of that, though, I think that some students, such as myself,
Yeah, but I say.
have an idea of what they want to do. And I think it'd be really cool to be able to declare if you want. I think having the option is what I think should happen. Where it's like they have almost like a deadline, like, okay, you need to declare by your second year. But if you are coming into college already knowing what you're trying to do or what field at least you're interested in, you should be able to, I don't know, I don't want to say like declare, but like you should be able to start, I don't know, like a
Like
halfway
pursuing
declare,
that,
like a semi declare.
Okay.
So
No,
that's
I definitely, yeah, I definitely agree. I think that should be an option because, like you said, you're very type A, so you had this scheduled probably 2 years ago.
yeah,
But
yeah,
let me ask this, like, different kind of topic, but still on topic of college. What do you think about the
yeah.
campus, like Yale campus, physically or like student like atmosphere? Have you been?
2 years ago, where I got to live there for 2 weeks straight. So that was kind of my first taste of college. Yeah, I did something called YYGS, so Yale Young Global Scholars. So I lived on
Okay.
campus for 2 weeks straight, no parents, no nothing, like just with a bunch of other students, which is really cool. It was in the summertime, so like it was a little bit different from the actual college experience. But I'm not gonna like I absolutely thrived. I absolutely adored my time there, which is why Yale was really high up on my list when I started applying to college because the atmosphere there is so welcoming in the sense where I feel like a lot of people kind of stereotype it as being like, oh, like all those kids are stuck up, everyone's competitive with each other, like you have no room to breathe. It's really the opposite in a sense where people don't even talk about grades like that. And I have friends who are there now who say the same thing. Like people don't talk about their grades, they don't talk about like being competitive with one another at all. It's a really work
Academically
hard,
productive.
play hard type of school, which I like because I don't want to be just holed up in the library every single day with no
Right.
social interaction. That sounds like my worst nightmare. Because I'm an
Fair enough.
extrovert, so having that kind of atmosphere where it's like, hey, like we have bubbles happening in the courtyard if you want to come out, like it's literally stuff like that that I think is extremely cool that I don't have to feel like I'm being put into a box of being purely an academiac. And
Hmm.
I was actually going to ask you, do you have any clubs that you are looking forward to joining?
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to joining some clubs. There's NSB. Have you heard of NSB? It's the
No, what is that?
National Society of Black Engineers. So
Oh,
it's
oh wait, I have
yeah,
heard of that. Yeah.
yeah, NSB, right? So they have like national conferences. They have like when I went up there recently, I went
Mm-hmm.
to like a conference they had, Free Frost, like rising freshmen and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Same.
yeah, I went up there and they had an excellent talk, and it's a black event, so we got some food too. I took that. So they talked a lot
Wow.
about
Okay.
their passions, about like why it's important for Black Americans to be involved with STEM and like engineering and the current statistics. They're
Hmm.
looking against us, right? Like
Yeah.
PhD holders, we're not the majority. Yeah, I was very pleased with the discussion, so I'm definitely looking forward to joining that. And they also just have a cool Black student unions. I was shocked about how many groups there were at MIT. I guess I was
Really?
also kind of thinking about the
You
stereotype.
stereotype your own.
Yeah, on the bus ride over there, I was a little bit suspicious because the people on the bus were like, they were fitting the stereotypes. But when I got there, everyone was super welcoming. There were a
Mhm.
ton of events. They had over 400 events going on at the same time for the
Whoa, what?
opening weekend. Yeah, it was crazy. And it went to like 2 a.m., like how many different events were going on. And
Wow.
it was wild. So I was very pleased. The other extreme, if you will, like of what
Yeah.
I was expecting. So it was great.
We're gonna prove you wrong. Yeah, so I have a list actually, which is really bad. I know a lot of people say that college clubs are nothing like high school clubs, where it's like you meet like once every 2 months and for like 20 minutes, that's it. So, but one that I definitely want to join is the International Relations Association at Yale. Like that is it's a huge organization and they kind of are the umbrella club to like Model UN and the International Relations
Right.
Journal, which is something that I definitely want to write for. And then obviously I want to join our Black Student Association. They are really active on campus. I was on their Instagram a couple days ago and they had like a Gullah Geechee class that they had. Yeah, no, it was really cool that I saw. I was like, oh,
Wow. Okay.
y'all are doing this. Like, how did you even pull this off? But stuff like that, I'm really excited to get to know, other people who look like me on campus, along with joining the Black Pre-Law Association, which is something I also want to do. Yale has a spoken word club. So every week they meet and people can just say their poems and whatnot. It's called
Oh,
Word, actually. All capital letters,
wow.
Word. And they meet weekly, or they just have open mic nights so
Oh,
people can go. Yeah. So I'm excited to go sit in on some of those as well.
anything going on at home before we go to college?
Yeah.
Anything you've been doing in the summer? Like what's been occupying?
So I had a summit for this past Tuesday, no, this past Monday and Tuesday, which the with the United Nations Association. So in Washington D.C., there's about 150 of us that were selected to represent over 20,000 of our members across the United States. And we got the opportunity to meet with our congressional members, so senators, representatives. We were on both sides of the Capitol, basically advocating for the continued presence of the United States in the United Nations because especially around this time of year when Senate is in chamber and they are voting on different bills, one of them being like our appropriations and like rescissions, which basically takes out like $8 billion in international aid, which is something
Right.
that is, in my personal opinion, all opinions are my own, but I think would only hurt the rest of the world. And yeah, so it was basically on things like that, upkeeping our peacekeeping dues, especially in the United Nations. We are currently at a moment in time where that is trying to be removed and no longer done. One thing that we had to really emphasize and that a lot of Americans aren't aware of is just how much the United Nations provides to the rest of the world. Obviously, a lot of people are aware of their humanitarian efforts, so like human rights and immigration and refugee crises and things of that nature, but one thing that we really had to put pressure on is that not only does this help the rest of the world, but it helps the United States as well. we had to emphasize that things such as the World Health Organization and UNICEF actually supplies vaccines to 45% of the world's children, which saves 3 million lives. And so this prevents disease transmission into the United States if they come over, which would crash our economy because our people are all getting sick. So we had to explain things like that, like, hey, not only on the humanitarian and like moral side of things does the United Nations help, but also for our own country, there are several things that the United Nations does and their agencies do that support our citizens as well. So that was what I was up to this week.
Quite extensive though. That's awesome though. I didn't know that statistic about UNICEF. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. And I mean,
45%.
their efforts cost American taxpayers only 1/8 of the amount of money that it would take to deploy like war military missions to other countries. So like even from an economical standpoint, involvement in the UN helps citizens pay less tax dollars. So yeah. Anyway, what have you been up to?
Right. So actually, earlier today, like a
Mhm.
couple hours ago, I just got off of a talk I was giving to a research internship group of rising seniors in high school and rising juniors in high
Whoa.
school. Yeah, it was a STEM focused internship. Have you heard of ASIP? It's
I think so,
through
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a program through George Mason University, and they
Hmm.
want to equip young people to get into STEM and like do like some research over the summer, things like that. And my old professor runs his section of that program, right? His name is Dr. Padi Cheshire. He invited me along with some old internship buddies from last year to give a
Hmm.
talk to these like rising students about college tips as well as like my research. So I was giving that talk. It was interesting though because those spaces that you're in, you're often going to be like the only one, right? And that was the case both during the internship when I was participating in it last year, as well as when I'm
Hmm.
giving my talk now. So it's kind of awkward, but I thought it was really cool that I got to the chance to do it and that he offered me the chance to do it. So,
Yeah, no, that's amazing. What? That's a really cool moment to be able to kind of give back to the community in a way. Thing called Camp Yale, which is really cool. So my move-in day is the 17th, that Sunday, and then the 18th through like the rest of the week and like a half. We do something called Camp Yale where actually in our housing, like our mandatory housing form, we also had to apply to which camp we wanted to be in, which kind of I don't even know how to explain this. Basically, you're put into a group of other like-minded students based on the camp, and you do things surrounding it. So, for example, the one that I applied to is called Camp Focus, I believe, which
okay.
concerns community service and social justice in the New Haven area, which is something that I obviously am really
Yeah.
into. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, I get that one. But there were also ones called like Camp Foot, where they go and they stay in the woods for the week, like they go camping and whatnot, which is
Wow.
also pretty cool, you know. I don't know how much I would be into that, but
Right.
it's
The
really cool.
woods.
I was a Girl Scout, so I did a lot of camping in my time, and yeah, I put in my time in the woods. So, but they have another one where they go and stay on a farm. And they learn about agriculture and whatnot, which is really cool. They have one for innovation and business people, so they bring in speakers for them and people who want to start startups and things of that nature. So it was really cool. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That reminds me actually, MIT has similar things. It's called FPOP. I'm still waiting to hear back from it, but like I
Mhm.
applied to the introduction to chemical engineering and the energy transition basically
Yeah.
focuses on bringing in, sustainability goals and things like the
Mhm.
SDGs on the United Nations website.
Yes, that's
Right?
right.
SDGs
Yes.
goal 13, climate action. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But that was the majority of my focus for my research last
Mhm.
year. I simulated like a electrification grid for an electric bus route that actually went around George Mason University. We did like agent-based model of it, but with the FPOP program at MIT, what they'll do is they'll take you up early and you could go to a sustainability farm outside of Boston.
What? That's so
Yeah, it's pretty
cool.
cool. And so they'll tour, take you around the city and like the surrounding companies and startups as well. Try to get you with undergraduate research opportunities as well. So I'm looking forward to
Wow.
that if I get it. If it goes through.
No, fingers crossed. That's really cool. Sounds like such a man. That, I'm like now I'm jealous. Like that sounds really cool. No, I'm excited. We have our yearly football game this year, and it's at Yale Stadium, which I'm pretty excited to go to
Oh,
that game. We've won, I believe, the past 3, maybe 5 years in a row. So, hopefully, the moment I step on campus, we still continue that streak. You know what's actually funny? A girl connected with me on, okay, so I'm a LinkedIn warrior. I feel like that's pretty, I
I
think anyone could
see.
guess that. I'm a LinkedIn warrior. And so I will have people contact me on LinkedIn asking, oh, like, can we hop on a Zoom call to talk about
Oh,
Yale? Like, how about it? And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I feel like I'm
wow.
not an expert on the school. I can share my experiences, but I've seen those people on TikTok where it's like, oh, this is what you need to do and you're gonna get a guarantee
Oh my
admission. And I'm like,
gosh.
that's just not how that
It's
works.
not really.
It's one thing, like, I think there are genuine consultants out there where they've seen the patterns and they've been doing this for like 20 years and it's like, okay, they can get you a pretty
Right.
good percentage chance. Like, the high schoolers on TikTok are just not those people though.
They're
Like, they're
not the
just
people.
old and you still might not get in, and you can have as little stats in the world and you might get in. Like, it's such a numbers game.
Exactly.
I think
Hmm.
especially once you get into these types of schools where it's just like you can only really share your personal experience. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Very well said, because there's a lot of people that will be on all of those, those college predictor
Yes.
websites or the calculators. I can't be a hypocrite. I even was on like
Oh,
two
I
or
was
three of
on it.
those things.
Trust.
Right, but this isn't actually accurate. Like average, like you have to get
Literally,
this
yeah.
SAT score and this like, ACT
Yeah.
score, whatever the case may be.
The thing I can
Yeah.
really say though that I do think would be some good advice is that when it comes to the extracurricular section, that and the essay section, in my personal opinion, are the strongest or should be the strongest part of your
Mhm.
application. Because when it comes to extracurriculars, like everyone is the president of some club, everyone is like, oh, I wrote a paper on this. Okay, great. Like, but what did you do for your community? Like, what impact have you made? Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of these kinds of schools want to see, okay, what are you going to do once you get here? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can be
Yeah,
the president of this club and y'all met like once a month. Okay, and you know what I'm saying? Like we
right.
need like
No,
have
like that's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
having more substance to and like do what you're passionate about. For example, for me, social justice like I think was like the pretty much the the general
Pinnacle,
tone of
right?
my application was surrounding international affairs and social justice and advocacy work. But all of those things, I showed my impact in my community and how I gave back to my community rather than just trying to look for the most impressive thing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when you're applying to schools like this, everyone has a 4.0, everyone has a 1600 SAT, not everyone, but like the majority of people have a pretty good SAT score. They have like
Right.
they are hitting all the marks, but so at the end of the day, the admissions officers are going to look for okay, what sets you apart though from other people?
Like this, like they're not looking for like what you did isolated to yourself, like maybe club leadership, whatever. It's like, oh, you can help their community, like you're going to change
Yeah.
at their campus. I know MIT, one of their essay prompts this year, or I guess this past year now,
Mhm.
was like, name a time like helped your community come together in some
Mhm.
sort of way. And I talked about, were you there for the BSU's like times ASA cookout? Where
No, I
like
was
we
at
combine,
that. Yeah.
right? So some context, right? Our school, West Springfield High School,
Yeah.
we did a
Oh,
joint
Jaden and I
between.
went to the same school. We never said that we went to the same
Right, that's kind of
school.
sad.
We've got yeah,
We're Spartans 2025, like West
yeah,
Springfield High School, no longer, thank God. But no
yeah.
no shade. But
No.
but we had a joint club meeting between the Asian American Student Association and our Black Student Union, and that does not happen often at our school. It was like
At
going to
all,
be like a food, yeah, no, it was going to be a food meet and greet where members from both clubs could come and like we'll share food, like a potluck style, where like we'll have like collard greens, mac and cheese, but you also
yeah.
might have
Hmm.
like kimchi or something like that, or lumpia. It was really cool, and I talked about that in the essay and my interview, and that was something that they said really struck them. It was good how you committed to community, bringing together people of like
Hmm.
different races. So it's not just about what you do within your own sphere. It's definitely how you can impact and help others.
Yeah,
Colleges will love that, and it's authentic. You're
exactly.
lying if you put that on your resume. Like it's something you're passionate about. You're trying to be involved with other people, trying to help other people learn and grow together. And that's at the end of the day something that they'll value more than just the grades everyone else has or the scores
Hmm.
everyone else has.
Definitely, yeah. Like in one of my Yale supplementals, I low-key kind of dragged the school. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure at the end, I forget what the prompt was. I'll have to go find it and send it to you. It was kind of one of those things where like, okay, how do you help your community? Another piece of advice when it comes to supplementals, the hidden question, how does this align with our school? Like it's like
Right.
you, the school, okay, now put them together. Like, what are you going to do once you get here to continue that work? And one thing I talked about was just like giving back to especially like the African American population. I talked about how I raised over $16,000 for the HBCU Gap Fund because a lot of students, especially people of color, don't have access to education because of monetary reasons. But I also talked about, okay, once I get on the school, I want to continue this work of giving back to my community by being a part of like the Black Women's Coalition at Yale and collaborating, like you said, with other cultural organizations to host canned food drives and things like that. Talked about how the poverty rate in New Haven, which is where Yale is located, is below the national rate. And so I said, like, hey, like we need to do something about this. You're such a big school with a huge endowment fund, yet going down the street, it's a homeless person on every corner. So it was just like things like that where it's like when I get on campus, I definitely plan on contributing to helping out this kind of issue. So
That's awesome you brought that up with MIT. I don't know if you know this, but like in previous years, the percentage of black students that were admitted dropped like exponentially. So what I did not know was that, and I found this out after I got there, the Black Student Union actually they had a meeting where they
hmm
like presented their grievances, like, hey, this is a problem. Like, what can we do to help
hmm
ease the student body? What I found out was it was kind of jacked up, but MIT doesn't admit students that haven't taken calculus before. It's just one of their metrics. And one of the things that affirmative action allowed them to do was to kind of ignore that, like say, okay, well, did their school offer calculus? Like, how
right, yeah,
many,
that was
right? And so
yeah.
I have to fact check this, but it was like of schools that are like predominantly black, 2/3 of those school districts that are mostly Black American don't have access to that class, like calculus or things like
Exactly,
that.
yeah.
So it's not exactly a fair, statistic or portrayal of the student body of like, oh, the best of the best, the best of the engineering world is
hmm
not going to be 47% Asian, 37% white. These are real statistics from MIT's demographics. So I think it's really cool you bring that up because it's really about what you're going to do when you get there to change those things. So I definitely want to be involved with getting those numbers up, getting more of the black student body in America participating in STEM. Like, is the poverty gaps, the socioeconomic differences between races are obtrusive and it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode of the Ivory Tower.
Remember to follow us on all of our social media pages and always stay true to yourself both in and out of the classroom.
Peace out.